Our top story this morning, Politico obtaining a draft of a majority opinion written by Justice Samuel Alito that would strike down Roe v. Wade.
Joining us now to discuss, Scott Jennings, former special assistant to President George W. Bush, actually worked on Justice Alito's Supreme Court confirmation hearings while in the Bush White House. Scott, good to have you on. I'm not going to play Alito's answer from his confirmation hearings in 2006 just because we played it in the last hour and again this hour, but briefly paraphrasing, regarding Roe and his respect for precedent as a justice, he said that when a decision is challenged and reaffirmed, strengthens its value. Also that when people come to rely on it, that adds value. And he also said that there's wisdom embedded in decisions that have been made by prior justices. That, when asked specifically about Roe v. Wade, why would that statement still stand given his willingness, it appears, to overturn Roe v. Wade despite meeting those standards as described?
Well, I mean, justices never, and I think this is a tradition going back for people who've been nominated by presidents of both parties, they never promise how they're going to vote on any particular case. And so to say that you will respect precedent is one thing, but that doesn't make it that you're locked into every decision that's ever been made ever by the Supreme Court. Obviously, the Supreme Court has gotten things wrong throughout our history. And so I think for those of us who are on the conservative side of American politics, it's been expected that people like Justice Alito and the others who are said to be in favor of this decision have long thought that Roe versus Wade should be questioned because it was a bad decision to begin with. His answers there were not general. His answers there were not general about, he was speaking specifically about the Roe v. Wade precedent there. Yeah, and it looks to me like from this decision they studied it carefully and came up with the idea and the judgment that Roe v. Wade was wrongly decided. So respecting precedent does not mean you have to, give up on the idea that something can be investigated in the future. And that's exactly what they've done here. And by the way, I'll just say, that's exactly what conservatives would expect people who are said to be constitutional conservatives on the court to do, because for people like us, Jim, we don't believe the right to an abortion exists in the Constitution, and so returning it to the political venues, in our mind, is the right thing to do.
There's been a lot of talk today about what else is not in the Constitution, if you take that view, right? Do you see this as perhaps leading to other rights tied to privacy now being perhaps up for grabs, whether that's contraception or same-sex marriage?
I don't know, candidly. I wouldn't expect that in the short term, certainly. And I think people who are saying that today are likely doing it for political reasons. I think this particular matter has been at the forefront of American political debate for 50 years now, and that's why it's being decided today. It took a long time to go from the Roe decision to today. So no, I don't necessarily see it that way. But then again, who can know what's in the minds of the court, and who knows what cases are going to bubble up, but I don't personally expect that to be the case.
Scott, should the conservative position be understood as a complete, not just complete overturn of Roe v. Wade, that decision, how it was decided, but a total ban on abortions? Or should the conservative position be understood, and by the way, I understand there's variety within the country and even within the Republican Party, but from your point of view, should the conservative position be understood as something short of Roe v. Wade, perhaps with, for instance, a different viability timeline than as presented in Roe v. Wade and Casey later?
Great question. I think the conservative position should be understood on the legal issue of where is this properly decided. The constitutional conservatives in my party believe that the Supreme Court shouldn't be in this, that it should be returned to the Congress and the state capitals. And as you pointed out, there's going to be a variety of opinions depending on what political jurisdiction you live in. So if you live in California, you're going to get different political views than if you live in Alabama, say, or Kentucky, where I am today. So I think the constitutional conservatives believe the political representative branches of our government should decide this based on what the people in their states or their jurisdictions want. This doesn't ban abortion. It simply returns it to these venues. The Congress could wade into this. A state capitol could wade into this. And I think that's what conservatives have long been saying is, why should the Supreme Court trump the sovereignty of our Congress or our state governments? And that's what apparently we're getting. Although, look, I'm a chicken farmer. I never count my birds before they hatch, but that certainly looks like where we're headed.
Listen, I know that this was a shorter conversation than we certainly can have on some of these questions, but this is the just beginning of that conversation on this broadcast and among others. So, Scott Jennings, we look forward to having you back to speak more.
Thank you.